Scared me. Scared me. Stop. Scared me.
Good evening. I call this meeting of council started. And I need a motion to approve the change of venue. Seconded also, and all in favor?
Aye.
Good. So we have the venue of this room, which is good. And we have the opening prayer, which Chris is gonna give.
Okay, let us pray. Dear God, we come to you tonight at the beginning of something new here for St. George. A new mayor, new councilors, a fresh page in the history of our town. As this mostly new council takes seat tonight, we ask for your grace and wisdom upon each one. Help them discover their place in this team of 7. They were all chosen and they each have the ability and responsibility to serve with their unique heart and gifts. We look forward to the positive impact this group will have for the local government, for longtime residents and newcomers, for visitors, and for all who will be touched by this community. May they be filled with dreams for the good of us all and courage to take steps to make it happen. Be with this council tonight and forward into this new mandate. We thank you for hearing us and being with us in this place. In Jesus' name, amen.
I will turn to the clerk to ask him who is going to do the introduction.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is agenda item number 4, the recording of oaths of office. Following members of council for the town of St. George were sworn in on Monday, June 7th. Mayor John Diderakis, Deputy Mayor Barbara Rayner, Councilor Sam Rubin, Councilor Leslie Armstrong, Councilor Alexa Diderakis. Following members of council for the town of St. George are sworn in on Friday, June 11th. Councilor Brenda Allison, Councilor Nancy Colton. And in accordance with the Local Government Act, Section 18, all members have signed Form 1 and all forms are on record at the Town Hall, respectively submitted by Clerk Jason Ginnett. Your Worship.
Thank you. Before we go to a motion to approve the agenda, as a point of information, the agenda, the item 11, formation of committees of the town. It is put only to discuss the appointment of a committee of the former mayors of this town. I have spoken to many councillors before this meeting, and I will move to introduce that first committee. The issue of the formation of the committees is one that will require further discussion and will be moved to another meeting. So just for information for this agenda, the item B concerns only a letter that will be sent out to the former mayors to form and join a panel or a committee that will provide advice, strategic advice, or any other advice they feel compelled to give to this town, to the mayor, or if they want to come to the council and address it, I will make the thing happen. And of course, we'll have to give them access to information so they can, if they have questions or something like that, our staff will help them get it. So with that change, I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda. Seconded?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have an agenda. Item 6, approval of meetings of previous council meeting, regular meeting of May 10, 2021.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Point of information. Who will be able? You'll be able to speak about the minutes because we have some questions.
Yes, most certainly.
Let me start from, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, please.
So we're looking at the minutes from last meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
On item number 10, the St. Mark's Cemetery, I believe there's a mistake. It's not 50,000, it should only be 5,000.
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this correction has been noted. Any other question?
I have a question. It's in regards to the street and bridge camera. So I just want to know how much money has been committed to the project.
Nothing has been committed right now. We are still looking for quotes.
Okay, you're still looking. And so is this camera, I know it's going to be used for promotion. Is it also going to be used for security as well?
For the bridge camera, it would be focused into the gorge, so its view would be pretty limited.
Okay.
Though there is another camera that we're looking at that would offer a view of both sides of the bridge. So it could also be used for traffic as well.
And like for the one on Main Street as well?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And I know it still hasn't been finalized yet, but will we have access to the recordings?
Yes.
Okay. Right, that's my question. Thank you.
Memorial Park, I just had a question about, we should look at the possible installation of a stone monument for all members. Is that being looked into further, or where does that stand?
Yeah, it's, as of right now, it's been on hold.
Okay.
But something we will be taking back up.
David Mayor, you have a question? Sam? I have one or two questions. Paving. I was wondering if the issue of the municipal, actually it's municipal designated highways, if the fact that it has been postponed, that means that we're going to move the budget to the next year?
The $80,000 from municipal designated highway would be, I believe they were reallocated. It was reallocated under last minutes. So it's $80,000. That's, you have to forgive me. I'm not sure if we've reallocated that 80,000 to capital, but yes, it wouldn't be moved to the next budget year. We would have to reallocate that to some other fund, perhaps another type of paving, but it wouldn't move automatically to the next year. Surplus would be 2 years following.
Okay. We're going to discuss it later on in today's agenda, but the coastal link, there is a coastal link trail. Construction is still planned to start this summer. So this has been approved.
Yes, as of right now, they're working through some details on just on use with the province, on whether there's on shared use or single use. So that would be with the Regional Service Commission with their recreation, just determining whether it's a shared use or a single use.
Can I ask you for information, again, point of information, this trail does include any sort of forest land for people to stop and sit and have something?
It would go through a very heavily forest land, yes.
So it goes, but so there is on the side, there is access for doing, do you have any forester to actually take a look on this?
No, we haven't, no.
We haven't?
No.
Okay. And I have another question about, in the report, there is community service, water, sewer, transportation, tourism, economic development. There is no fire protection. Is there any reason for that?
Pardon me, no fire protection?
Yeah. Read one. Well, the beginning, okay, because I have,
Yes, it would be,
okay, because normally I thought it would be in this area, okay. And the community garden is now open and you can get a box by contacting the town office. What is that? Can you tell us what was that? Just so I can know.
yes, if they're looking for planners, if residents are looking to have a planner at the community garden, they can certainly contact the town hall.
We may have to do a bit of promotion of the community garden because no one knows where it is or what it is, okay?
Right.
And the splash pad was just a note. we need to look at landscaping and benches. Is that something that has been decided?
No, not at this point, no.
Okay. No, I don't have any other questions. So who is gonna move to approve the agenda?
Can I just ask one more
Oh,
question?
certainly.
I'm sorry. Around the water and wastewater report, I noticed that there's a statement that made that the progress has gone slowly. I'm wondering if there's a financial impact for the slowdown of the progress?
No impact, no financial impact for this is well 6. So there'd be no impact financially.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question? Okay, a motion to approve the agenda, the minutes?
I make that motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Seconded,
Second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we have them. Conflict of interest declarations. This is the point where every councillor and the mayor has to declare his conflicts about today's agenda. Any conflicts? So, have been recorded?
None recorded.
And we have our first delegation, the YMCA. Absolutely, yes, yes.
You may
yes.
not hear me otherwise. And thank you, Your Worship and councillors, for having us, and congratulations. It's nice
Thank
to
you.
see you all. I wish we could come up and shake your hand, but that's not possible these days. We're really happy to be here at your first official meeting, and I have Tracy Craig, who's here with us as a volunteer, and Adrian Boudreau is our Chief Operating Officer, and I am Shyla Boucher, the President and CEO for the YMCA of Greater St. John. And really happy to be in this building where we operate one of our after-school programs, and been here for quite a many years. And we did provide a bit of a handout to give you a little bit of background on how it all got started, why is the Y here, and I guess that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. Try not to take too much of your time, and then Adrian's going to come up and give you a bit more of the detail around the programming pieces that we do. And then of course we're happy to take any questions, and Tracy might even be able to answer some questions, because she's here in the community and has been volunteering and worked with us at one point over the years. So our Y, we like to call ourselves the YMCA of Greater St. John, because we serve the areas from Sussex to St. Stephen. That's what our focus is, and to really build healthy communities. So we try to do what we can in all the communities that we serve. And so in your community, we're trying to grow our programs, extend our reach, see where the need is. And that's why we have a community of volunteers helping us. One of the big things about the Y, and one of the things I love, is how many volunteers work with us on an annual basis. So we have about 700 volunteers, and that's really important to us, because it not only supports our YMCA, but it also supports the individuals who get the opportunity to come and do some really great things with us as a YMCA. And we do a lot. I don't know how familiar you are with the YMCA, but we do everything from youth programs to day camps to childcare to obviously the health and fitness side of things, which most people recognize us in, all the way to supporting our newcomers. We have probably about over 1,000 newcomers that we work with on an annual basis, and so from English language to helping them settle here in all of our all of Greater St. John, and help them get the skills they need to find employment. So there's lots of things that our YMCA does, and we basically take shape for what the community needs us to be, and where they need us to be, whether it's a building or a facility like this where we can help fill it full of kids, or what have you. That's what our YMCA is about, and we're very proud to be in your community and continuing to grow. Although COVID has slowed us down a bit, Adjourn will talk a little bit about what we've been doing and what we've been up to. But true pleasure to be here, and we want to continue to work with you and all of Eastern Charlotte to see how we can continue to serve your community, have impacts, and really have your residents feel engaged and supported in recreation and all the programs that we do. So I'll hand it over to Adrian.
Thank you. Normally when we have meetings at the YMCA, we always start with a why story that someone will share. So I thought I'd do a really quick one for you guys tonight. Part of it came from a staff member that works here at the after school program. And the second half came from a principal of a school. So this time last year, this child only seemed interested in spending time with his support worker, and he struggled to communicate when things were bothering him. This year, he has made great strides. He now plays with many of the kids that attend here in this after-school program. His coping skills have increased tremendously, and he now openly communicates and better expresses when and why things are upsetting him. We learned he lived in foster care and was supposed to be adopted this year, but it fell through. The school has said, knowing the connections and successes he had both at school and the Y, the school did not want to see him go through another transition. They advocated that keeping him in St. George would provide stability and give him a sense of belonging. When a foster home in St. George was found, they were relieved. The gains they've seen this year are amazing. It's a collaboration with the amazing and supportive people in his life at home, at school, and through the YMCA. This is a story that shows it takes a village, and we are grateful that the Y is part of ours. So it's nice to see how everybody was working together to help one of the many children that have come through the programs. So as Shiloh spoke about, this is where we operate the after-school program. So you will see some of us, around here on the walls, or the furniture pushed to the side. And that's how we intended to set it up. We do a lot of programs where we roll things in at the beginning of the day, and then we roll things out at the end of the day, because we do share a lot of space. So we want to make sure that this building, outside of the time that we're here, is available to anyone else that might be wanting to use it. So just a little bit of an overview. We started here in 2018. It was brought to us that there was a need for licensed after-school programming in the community, and we were approached to start a program. Since then, we've done, as I said, the after-school program. We've run summer day camps every year since 2018. We did a free program for the community called Girls in Motion, which filled up and was very successful. And we also did, I say we, but it was probably a little more Tracy, did some drop-in pickleball and drop-in dodgeball as well when we were able to operate out of schools. Unfortunately, this year we were unable to do that. So things do look a little bit different right now. So we've had 67 children attend our after-school program in this site, and we've had 738 spaces have filled up in our summer day camp programs since we started. We've also partnered this summer with St. George Elementary to be able to send children to Camp Glenburn free of charge. And so we worked with the school to be able to identify children who may not be able to get that experience. So we are pretty proud of the fact that since 2018, through fundraising that's done by the YMCA every year, we've supported just shy of $10,000 in funding to be able to allow children to come to the after-school program and to day camps and to Camp Glenburn. And so there's a process that they would go through. They contribute what they can, and then the YMCA helps to fulfill the rest. We've also helped within this center by having the walls painted, re-waxing of the floors, and purchasing new tables as well. So this has all happened in partnership with our committee, Eastern Charlotte County Advisory Committee. So Tracy Craig is the chair of that committee. We also have Matthew Kernigan, Claudine Pohl-Hatt, Andrea Holland, Rebecca Rudderham, and Sarah Matheson-Ross that have joined that committee to help advise us on the needs that might be there and any marketing or anything else that we're looking for help with. So we are very excited to continue this partnership. Obviously, with COVID, things have changed a little bit. Our numbers have dropped in the after-school program. We found that across all of our after-school programs that we offer in the greater St. John area. But certainly looking towards that green that will hopefully be here in August, and looking to work with you and the rest of the community. If there's any gaps that you think that the YMCA might be able to fill, then we'd certainly be interested in chatting with you about that, as Shiloh spoke about, whether it's childcare, camping, recreation, and newcomers to Canada. Those are all of the main areas that we are currently in. Does anyone have any questions?
That from that side. No?
How many have been coming day to day?
Right now,
Yeah.
we have about 10.
After school.
After school, we have about 10 children that are coming full time.
And where is there another model like this going on? Like St. George, where?
We're in 12 locations across Greater St. John.
Okay. Any more down this way?
Not for the Y, the closest one would be on the west side of St. John.
Okay. So this is the only one?
That the Y runs?
Yeah, like this setting?
Yeah.
In
Yes.
a community like this?
Yes.
This size is what I meant to say.
Yeah, we have smaller after-school programs. We have one in the middle of St. John at Prince Charles School. We also have others that have 89 children in it. So just depending on the size and then the need of the community. Pardon?
A lot more people
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Pass me by, thinking about something. That's a question.
I'll leave that.
I have a question. Yeah. So I just want to say, like, I think the YMCA is great, and it gives the opportunity for kids to interact with kids they wouldn't normally interact with. But I was just wondering, I know that this is a temporary space, and I was just wondering what has been done to find a new space.
At this point, I know there's talks about a building in the future. We at nothing, I guess, at this point. I guess it would be based on the need, and we hope to be able to continue here. This would be the ideal place. I mean, when you look outside and you see everything that it has for the children to offer, you know, we'd certainly be flexible on looking at what this space looks like. But as I talked about, we're able to set up and tear down and move out, and that's how we set up all of our spaces where we know that it's not our home, because we would want it to be able to be used, whether it's by us putting on seniors fitness classes in the morning, and then having the after-school program kind of roll in. So we would certainly be open to chatting about that.
Right now, it's mainly used for children. There's nothing that the Y puts on here for seniors, young adults, anything else. It's just mainly your after-school program?
Right now,
Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So the building is just used mainly for after-school?
I can't speak to what the building is used for.
No,
but in
I
terms of
mean your
why,
program.
yes. Yeah, we did do Girls in Motion here. The other programs, because they were taking place in a gymnasium, they were done through schools. But we would, like, this is a lovely facility, so we would certainly be open to doing a fitness class here, and just really finding out what the needs are, what people would be interested in having, and moving forward.
I have another question. So there's a little bit of pressure for our town to have a community library, a town library, and the current one that we have is not accessible to everyone. So this could be an ideal place for the library. What would be your plans if 2 or 4, like between 2 or 4 months from now, if the town needs this space, like where would you go? You haven't found the...
Well, I would probably call in my lovely committee that I just mentioned to chat about what the other options are. We could certainly, I know schools are tough right now in order to get into them, with the spacing and with everything that's happening with COVID. Also, in order to move a location, we would need to be able to get a new license. And so there's requirements that need to be met in order to be a licensed program that allows children and families to be able to get government funding and be able to pay top-up wages to the staff. So all from the amount of windows sizes to, you know, exit, which is great. You want that when you're providing an after-school program for children. So yeah, we would have to begin the process of looking at that, and if we are able to, and if people would, depending on what people, if they're able to get there through busing, this is a good location that we're able to get the buses from Back Bay and from Blacks Harbor too. So depending on where we move to, we might not be able to accommodate those children. So we have to look at that as well.
So what are the hours that you have the after-school program? Are you done by 5:30?
It runs till 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
So it goes from 2 to 6 p.m. Or?
Yeah. Yeah, so the staff will come in just shortly after 1 and they'll get everything set up, and then they do drive, and we purchased a van to be able to pick up the children on the first run from Back Bay, because the buses, there's an imaginary line that the buses are not able to cross when dropping the children off, but they are on the way back for the second group, because they all go to Fundy Middle High School for the end of the day. So they are able to drop the second group of kids off, but we pick up the kids that are in kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2.
Can I ask you, was there any talk about any corporate sponsorship of the after hours when you first came?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Because I've heard that there have been some interest to actually keep the kids occupied until parents get out of work at a later time. So, but that was never part of your equation in coming here.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if there.
We had, if I just, we had tried to speak, or there was some communication that started initially with Cook.
Yes.
And with particular that kind of had initiated the conversation and had reached out to us, and we had explored some options there, but then the conversation just stopped basically. So we didn't move forward with it, because one thing that I just to Nancy's point, or sorry, Councillor Colton, that the Y is very we want to ensure that we're not taking away from something that's already being offered in the community. And so we, as an advisory council, always look at what if people come to us and say, we want this, then we go back to the Y to say, can we do that? And so the first piece has always been childcare. And so that's where it started. There was talk from, like I said, of having it go longer or be in more of a corporate sponsorship piece, but it just kind of fell aside. And then the other piece that I just wanted to mention is, could you speak to that pre-COVID, there were more than 10 children in our.
Oh yeah, there was 28 people that were in the program.
So it hasn't always just been that there's only been 10 kids here. COVID has certainly added a layer that for the last 15 months has.
Yeah, that's been in all of our after-school programs. So childcare seems to be doing okay. After school's a little bit different. You have many parents that are working at home now, and it's I'll come home at 3 o'clock and hang out than it is to have a 2-year-old home with you all day while you're trying to be on Zoom meetings and those sorts of things. So yeah, we had 28 children that were in the program.
My last question is, when you first came to St. George, was there any talk with the school if there can be a nice place there after hours to? Well, they have plenty of space. I mean, they have gymnasiums. They have all sorts of.
There wasn't any space in the schools.
There was no space in the school.
No. Also, as I was saying before, it has to be specific space. So I'm not certain on the. I don't know the gym at St. George Elementary, but if it doesn't have windows, we would never be able to get.
About the Fundy High School. The Fundy High School.
Well, the children wouldn't be able to get there because the buses wouldn't take them there. So it would have to be within a certain area, because it would be for children that are all grade 5 and under.
So that the bus can bring them here, but not to Fundy High School.
It crosses an imaginary line.
And who says that line?
Well, John McDonald is director of finance and oversees transportation for the school district. So, and this is in every area. This isn't a St. George thing. This is every area. Buses.
The reason for which I'm asking these questions is that there is a real community drive to have a library, a hangout place, and not only for seniors. I mean, seniors, middle people, a mother with 2 kids who wants to come and pick up some books and read them a story at the corner or whatever. Mm-hmm. So as we are moving forward, we have to explore what space we have for that. The library that we have is totally inaccessible. Yeah. One of our best volunteers here doesn't even like to climb up there. And
I've been to the library. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So we are looking at this option. So
sure.
Maybe we should actually have a discussion at another time informally with Jason and all the volunteers who are involved in this program to see how we can work out some form of a transition. Yeah. So you can have that thing what's coming down, and we can see what can we do here. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my only question. Yeah.
We are working on another committee. I'm sure you guys have heard about the committee that's looking at building, or they call it a community hub. And the library is being talked about, obviously after school, childcare, all those pieces.
In a community hub, but I think it would be amazing if you could set up something short term here, and we can help work through it, add more programs, because that just builds, I guess, more of a support to actually get the funding to get the hub built. So.
The community hub is actually more of a regional, not a St. George initiative.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of parameters which are not yet settled, or all the pressure that we are getting is from St. George.
Okay.
And I'm the one of the persons, for example, who would have liked to be able to come and read the newspaper here. There is a lot of demand for that service. So We have to actually go back to St. George and see, what can we do for the next, year to years until all these great plans come into play.
And one just thing that I'd like to add too, when we initially, again, so the first piece was looking for childcare. That was the one piece when there was talk of the Y coming and wanting to support our community. It was childcare from a full service licensed daycare facility. And one of the reasons why we couldn't or didn't look at that for this center in particular is because that requires it to be in use all the time. And so it didn't lend itself to being able to have other things on the weekend or in the mornings or whatever. That's why we started with just an after-school program, because a licensed childcare facility from morning, mom and dad can drop the child off at 7 o'clock in the morning, and that doesn't exist in St. George, and that's where the Y was wanted to come initially. But that was one of the reasons why we couldn't, I'll say, do that here, because then that meant that this facility would not be able to be used for anything else.
For anything at all.
For anything else. And so much like, potentially, if it is a library or a childcare facility center, then can it be used for anything else? And so that's why we had chose the after school program piece, because we didn't have that option.
Okay, thank you very much for
Thank
coming
you.
to the presentation, and we should try to keep that conversation going and see with Jason to see what can we do in the future. Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, general reports. Jason, you are the key person who's going to help us with this section of the agenda, so go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. For general reports, several updates. Splash pad, we have received a variance agreement with Granitown Hotel, so we now have the go-ahead to install the mechanical building. There was a slight variance needed on distance from the mechanical building to the property line, so we've received that variance agreement. So now we're just waiting again on the contractor to install the concrete pad for the mechanical building. So we've had 4 contractors to date that have stated that they'll do this work. We've yet to see a contractor actually come and do the work. So we're hoping now that this is completed that we'll move on. We do have one contractor, Devin Moore, that is very eager to do the work and interested in helping out the community. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. The lower sewage pipe installation, as mentioned in previous reports, we will likely be skipping the sewage lift station upgrade for this year in favor of addressing the installation issue on the South Street Bridge. There's a sewage pipe on the south side of the bridge that the wrapping on that has decayed, mostly from seawater and rusting away. So a very main sewage pipe that we need to look after. Sidewalk repair throughout the town. The upper bridge, Brunswick Street, Chapel Corner, Main Street Riverview, and in front of the elementary school. As well, we are doing a bit of a drop down for a crosswalk out on Main Street East. That will be done this week. So much needed sidewalk repair. We certainly thank residents for their patience while these repairs are underway. For paving, as mentioned a little later in today's agenda, the gas tax fund for paving. So yes, so previously we looked at doing the gas tax fund for Solaire Court in 2021. That was part of the last council's plan for the gas tax fund for this year. However, we will likely be skipping that. We can certainly do that. The funds with the gas tax fund just would stay in the bank account. And we can do that work next year or an adjustment to the gas tax fund plan. Main reason for not doing the work this year is that there is ongoing construction in Solaire Court, and we certainly don't want to compete with that. We want to wait till the construction is completed. A little later on in the agenda, municipal designated highway is up for discussion. For 2021, the ministers wrote to the town to advise that basically the work for this year will be postponed. So this work was extending the sidewalk on Mount Pleasant. Coastal Link Trails, as mentioned previously, we are still waiting for some agreements and some further guidance from the Natural Resources on multi-use or single-use designate for the former rail line. Canal Beach, town was awarded $310,000 for the rebuild of Canal Beach, and more official announcement will be coming hopefully later this month. Project manager, project engineer on that is Silk Stevens, and we will be putting together some artist renderings for press releases. So very exciting news for Canal Beach. As mentioned previously as well, St. Mark's Cemetery Phase 2, $5,000 was granted from the province, RDC, and that will continue the three-phase work on St. Mark's Cemetery, the first community cemetery for us on Main Street. Next year, we'll hopefully finish that up. Each year, we've received $5,000 from the province to do that work. Benches, planters, garbage receptacles have all now been received. We received the planters today, and two of those nice large cast iron planters, which are almost 100% theft proof. They're extremely heavy. Will be positioned at the end of Main Street, eastern part of Main Street, and at Brunswick Street near the seniors complex. Well 6 is continuing on pace, slight delay there. And we're hoping to get that completed this month. Ducks Unlimited in the Marsh have completed installing a new picnic shelter that was completed last week. Just some small work that needs to continue there. So that new enclosure shelter is in the Marsh area, just north of the highway, almost across from the Day Adventure Center, opposite side of the river. We continue to talk with the province on the Nature Legacy Initiative. We do have town land out near Well 4, the other side of the tunnel. And this land is not developable given its proximity to the wells. However, we could offer some incentive under this Nature Legacy Initiative for protective lands. The Office Plaza, the Christian Academy, in partnership with Change of Seasons, has planted flowers at the Post Office Plaza. Looks very nice there now. As mentioned maybe in a previous report, we did remove the air heat unit from the roof of the Macadamic Center and thankfully stopped the leaking. Council should be aware that exit 52 property out at the end of Brunswick Street near the highway on-ramp, we have a request for proposal invites that have gone out to nearly 20 developers across the Maritimes, and we'll be looking at July for some sort of review of those proposals. We've yet to receive any of those proposals as of yet, but still some time. Canal Beach, the canteen is now open. John Young has agreed to continue the canteen again this year, and we have swim buoys that will be installed shortly. We do have them. We just need to get them installed. We did remove the teeter-totter due to some liability issues there as well. Day Adventure Center, we've had some youth vandalizing some of the buildings. We've fixed those buildings to avoid any concerns of public safety. And a new flagpole was installed in front of the town hall. The old ones really run their time. There were two poles that were welded together, and the welds were sort of coming apart, and they've been there since the 80s, but we have one single industrial grade flagpole that's been installed. We should be having a summer student starting next week, and hopefully the week after, to certainly help out with a lot of the grooming in the town. And line painting, certainly there's been an issue with a shortage of paint, traffic paint, and that's been affecting the center line for the town. Where we just received word from the company that they will be here in August, and we're hoping that they can move that up just a little bit at least. But delay, not necessarily because we haven't asked, It's more or less because of a supply and demand. That is all I have for general reports, Your Worship.
Well, questions? Start with Councillor Allison. No? Sam? Papa? Nice. Nice. Okay. Actually, I want to ask you, when you say the provincial program for paving our joint highways, the Mount Pleasant, has been postponed. What's the purpose of putting a plan where they only have to say it's postponed? Is there any reason why it was postponed?
I don't believe that Minister Green, in her letter, which is coming up in new business, I don't believe that she may have highlighted anything. We've, in the past, the province has postponed it for a variety of reasons. Could be just budget constraints for them. Could be other priorities. I couldn't really speak on why they would cancel that. We do submit each year the updated municipal designated highway program. We haven't touched that since 2019. We just keep changing the year on it and send it to them in hopes that that it will actually get picked up in a given year. So, but no, I'm not sure why they would be canceling it this year.
Because it takes resources to prepare a 5-year plan if you want to do it meaningfully, and if that is not in any ways keep track as to why we postpone it, or just for information, the road started degrading. I mean, there are a lot of patching. I even found a sinkhole today. So if it grows, it's going to be very interesting. But it's very interesting when they say postpone. If we actually find why we postpone things. I mean, if it's no budget, tell us there is no budget. But Is anything about fire protection?
Fire protection?
Yeah.
No, that'll be in the fire report coming up.
I'm sorry?
The fire protection report?
The fire report, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be coming up in two more reports.
Okay. So you covered the general government report now?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes,
you can continue with the EMO.
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, EMO report, update on COVID-19. Our zone 2, remains in yellow phase. As of today, June 14th, there were 90 active cases, 0 of which in our zone. In the province, there are 7 in the hospital. Since the start of the pandemic, there have been 2,299 confirmed cases and 45 related deaths. There have been 596,000 plus total vaccinations administered, of which 518,000 plus vaccinated with at least 1 dose. Just missing the provincial target of 75%. 75% was needed in order to move to phase 1 of the path to green, getting back to the green phase. The 3rd phase is expected to come into effect in New Brunswick August the 2nd, as long as 75% of New Brunswickers 12 and older have received their 2nd dose of the vaccine. So hopefully by August the 2nd. At this time, the province will move to the green level. The mandatory order will end. That's August the 2nd, and all restrictions will be lifted. Residents are reminded that everyone aged 12 and older are eligible to get vaccinated with their first shot. You can book your vaccinations at the regional clinics at the Garceland Center in St. Stephen by visiting the online booking portal via gnb.ca. Residents can also arrange a vaccination by calling their local pharmacy. That is all I have for the EMO report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Any question? Moving on to the fire report.
Hopefully everybody can hear me.
I guess I'll do a little bit of explanation about my report for this month, and then if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. We had 14 incidents in May, which is a typical month. For those of you that are new, which are many, typically St. George Fire runs between 150 and 200 calls a year. Sorry about that. And a good chunk of them come in the spring with wildland fires. The rest of the year, 10 to 20 calls would be a normal month. So we're there for this month at 14. You'll also notice that 10 of the incidents were, it says inside of town, but that should say outside of town. 4 were inside. So please make a note that that is an error. Typically, we have more incidents outside of town than we do inside of town, if you follow the statistics. Typical fires for the month, nothing that really stands out with the exception of the chip pile fire at Lake Utopia Paper. That drew a lot of attention, planes and helicopters and fire trucks, and went on there for about a day and a half. A lot of people were out crowding the roads and the trails, but it was a good entertainment on a Thursday night, I guess, for people that like that type of stuff. So Irving was very appreciative of the fire departments that were able to come and assist St. George as the primary department. So we're currently going to senior management of the fire department are going to be meeting with Irving officials to do a little bit of a debriefing and a follow-up as soon as possible. My deputy chief has been away, so that's kind of postponed that. But once he gets back around, we'll meet with the vice president and the general manager and whatnot to talk about things that went well, things that maybe could have gone better, things that they can do for the future. So that's kind of the highlight as far as responses. Training, for those of you that don't know, I'm the association training representative, I guess is the title. That's for the Fundy Firefighters Association, which is an area that covers from Musquash to Harvey. There's about 18 or 19 fire departments within that. As the ATR, I am the representative of the Fundy Firefighters Association to the New Brunswick Community College, and as such, I'm responsible to coordinate training of all firefighters. In the winter, typically January, we start a Firefighter 1 program, so you'll see that mentioned in training. We put through about 24 new firefighters through that program this winter. That involves classroom Tuesdays and Thursdays. They started in early January, and that wrapped up in May. So it's an all winter commitment. It's about 150 hours in the classroom. We're now working on their practical work. They have a logbook that they have to get signed off with a bunch of JPRs, or job performance requirements, I guess is a fancy word for a check off, that they have to complete in order to get their certification. So it's a big process. We worked on that all winter. Now we're working on fire officer and fire apparatus driver operator. Those are more senior courses for firefighters that have been in the service a little bit longer, and more advanced courses. We actually started those in 2019 and 2020, but COVID has wreaked havoc with everything, including training. So we're trying to get that done as well. They have logbooks that they have to do. They have certain tasks that they have to be signed off. As well, I'm not only do I teach and coordinate, I take courses. I'm just finishing up a course through Dalhousie University with respect to municipal government. So I'm working on that through St. Stephen. And that's hopefully going to be done here in another few weeks. So that'll kind of, in the summer, we typically take a little bit of a break. This year, we are going to carry on with the driver operator training to try and get that finished up. Equipment, we had an overhead door that malfunctioned. That happens from time to time. The cables come off. We have to bring a company in to put them back on. Bunker gear, I'm hoping to have the guy here next week to size up our firefighters for this year's replacement program. Right now, a lot of that stuff is 4 to 6 months, so I've got to get it ordered so it arrives in 2021 for budgeting purposes. And the same thing applies to everything else. So we've got to take a little bit of a look around and see what we need and try and get that ordered so that we can get it here before the end of the budget year. I guess that's the highlights. If anybody's got any questions about anything that's there or anything else that you'd like to ask, I'll do my best to answer.
What is how many people you got in the fire department right now?
Good question. It's around 27, I would say, right about now, which is normal.
So you're good to go.
Yeah, that's a good number for us. We typically, between the two departments, St. George and Bonnie River, Bonnie River is running 4 right now, which is pretty much where they are. That's a good number. They're able to, they're able to function with that. And of course, we heavily support that, and it's a good relationship. We've got them coming this way, so we're working. Some of them are keen to come down and help with calls here as well, so that's good. It gives them more experience, training. One of them is a new Ian Lee. Some of you guys maybe know Ian Lee. He's our newest recruit, and he's very, very keen, very eager. So it's been a very good addition to Bonnie River. He kind of livened the place up a little bit, so it's good. We're glad to have Ian on the program.
I have a question. How many of these 12 incidents that you are having are relating with highway responses?
Well, I would say depends on what you define as a highway. You mean just this highway, or?
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't say for sure if any of those were. I believe one was. I don't recall exactly where all of them were, but I would say one of them was out at one of the exits. We had one that would have been on the road to Back Bay, and I don't recall the other.
The only reason for which I'm bringing this is that it's one of the components of your work which requires the trucks to get out of the town and drive, and and that is essentially we are supporting a need of the province, right?
We provide service for the town, and we're also contracted for an area, a fairly large area outside of town, where we are contracted, like I say, to the province. That includes Canal, Bethel, Utopia, partially down into like Caithness, and partially down the Back Bay Road. So we respond to all incidents in those areas, and then we provide mutual aid to other departments, and they do the same. So we could end up in Penfield, we could end up in St. Andrews, but we don't get paid for that, but it's reciprocal. Yes. We go there, they come here. So but to the point, and here's a rough number. The fire department budget is paid slightly more by the town. I believe it's something like 52% the town pays and 48% local government pays. But I would suggest that in a typical year, more than 50% of the calls are outside of the town. Okay.
So you say 50% are outside?
It's not done, that cost sharing is not done on a per call basis. It is done by tax base.
Okay.
And the tax base for which we cover is less outside of town than what it is inside of town. And that's why it's 52-48, give or take. It is not a reflection of where the call volumes come from. Okay. And that's the way it is province-wide. Some municipalities benefit, some are kind of straight down the middle. Others, like us, it's a little bit more lopsided towards the other way. Okay. It just depends on where you are, and different years it's different. But a typical year you'd see a little bit more percentage outside of town than in.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you have any other question?
That will change as the tax base grows, that's all.
Well, that's another-
But then as it grows, you get more calls, so it's, all right. Nothing.
Jason, the next one is service SNBC SC.
It's Alex.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. So this past month report starts with our activities with planning. So we met with the CEO and the works foreman. We discussed some of the St. George's overall arching municipal framework for infrastructure. So this is tying into the municipal plan work and the background study that we've been working on this year. As I talked about in the orientation, it's a unique opportunity for this new council because it's your 10-year anniversary for the municipal plan. So every 10 years, you have to renew it under the legislation. So one of the things we're going to be looking for from the new council is strategic priorities as they're going to come into the municipal plan. So it's a big piece of work. And so I think we'll be having more discussions about this as the year unfolds. In addition to this, we're also working on research with the building bylaw. The legislation for building bylaws has changed in this past year. So February 1st, there was the Building Code Administration Act and the attending regulation came into effect. So this gives a 1-year clock for the St. George building bylaw. It has to come into conformity with a new act. There's a number of changes we've been working through, and some things have been changed even since February 1st with the province. They've done amendments to the regulations because there's been some issues. So we've been working very closely with this and with the province and communicating with all the other jurisdictions about what they're doing and their best practices on this, because there's a lot of implications of what's going to be exempt, what codes apply. It was 2015, and now it's 2015 and 2010 for the remainder of the year because there was challenges. And then there's the National Energy Code as well, which is coming into effect. So we're doing training on this, and we're also trying to adapt to a changing environment. But we're going to make sure that the St. George building bylaw is the best building bylaw we can make it under the new legislation. So that research is continuing, and we're going to put forward something to council this year as well, I believe. On development, one of the things you'll note is that the building permit values are high, or maybe you don't because a lot of the council's new, but this year the building permit values are very high. So the value of permit fees, which have been collected by the Service Commission and remitted to the town, because we don't keep any of the fees that are collected; those all go back to the town by law. The value this year is $12,921,000. So this is primarily to do with 2 large industrial permits, and those fees that were remitted to the town related to those permits were just over $60,000. So 12 building permits to date as of the end of May, and then as of the end of May, there's been 11 development permits. 2 fascia sign permits were issued, and there was no change in this reporting period, and 1 subdivision was approved, and no change in that reporting period. And maybe it may be worth mentioning too the difference between building and development permits. So a building permit is a permit that is issued for a building that has to meet the National Building Code, whereas a development permit, it's for a building which does not necessarily have to have building inspections the same way a building permit does. They're permits that are primarily for zoning compliance. So things like small sheds or garages, or a building that's coming to just be placed on anchoring, for example, like a mini home, we're making sure it complies with setbacks, but the mini home's already pre-inspected in facility. On regional planning and regional activities, there's the Regional Recreation Master Plan. I've talked about this in previous council reports, but for the benefit of the new council, the Regional Recreation Master Plan was adopted in a policy by the Board of Directors of the Service Commission in April. And you can go on the website, snbsc.ca/recreation master plan, and you can access the whole thing and see what it's about. So that's looking to come into effect January 2022. There's also another recreation website, the swrecreationhub.ca. This is a resource that was developed kind of in the rollout of the policy as well. It's more of a catalog of recreational assets and programs, and it comes with maps and lists and searching ability. So there's a lot of great stuff on there, and also recommend a lot of people who are recreation programmers to use it and use some of the features of that website, because it's very useful tool for recreation services. So that concludes my report, and I'm open to questions now.
Questions? Just for information, these regional recreational facilities that are contemplated, are we going to have any sort of involvement in actually taking care of it or participating in it or anything like that? Like you say, it has been approved, Jason never told me that we had a specific building being, so it has been approved, but where is it? Where is going? What is it about?
Okay, so the recreation master plan policy is not about building a building. It's primarily to do with the cost sharing administration. So for example, this facility we're in is a regional recreation facility, even though it's owned by the town of St. George and will continue to be owned by the town of St. George. And you do get to decide what you do with this building. That doesn't change. The thing is that this building currently offers a service to places outside of the community, kind of like with fire service. It's providing service to the neighboring LSDs. So there's recognition of this sort of shared regional assets. And so the idea here is that the Service Commission boards looked at this for quite some time. It started in 2017. And they looked at what regional assets there were, how best to cost share these, and how best to involve local service district recreation stakeholders in discussions about future programming, so that their voices are heard in decisions made by municipalities about their regional rec facilities, and vice versa, for you to be involved in decisions, let's say, and be able to have a voice in the futures of adjacent municipal facilities like the Patrick O'Connor's Arena, for example. So there's a policy in there to look at sharing 2 cents per $100 worth of assessment from the LSDs and municipalities into a pot, and then get distributed to the municipalities who host the regional recreation facilities. So the idea being that that this costs you money and you're serving the greater community, and that recognizes that, as well as looking at the kind of continuous improvement in programs that are on offer, and putting forward things like that website I was referring to as a catalog, to make sure that people know what's available. Because I think that was one of the big things, is that there's a lot of stuff going on in our region, but you don't know what communities next door to you are doing. And this is a sort of a way to get to know what's going on in the whole region. So that's, I don't know, it's probably a good idea to go visit the website, because you can just, it's all there, and kind of dig into it, and there's a lot there. So
the interesting point, I just want to make the secondary question, is you mentioned that there is 2% that are coming, 2 cents of the assessment coming from the LSTs to our budget. Like the income, 2% of their assessment comes to us for actually them having access to these common facilities, right?
In a way, yes, yeah.
It'll be put into a bucket divided between academic center and the arena and Blacks Arbor. Yeah. So that pie, that full piece of pie, or that bucket, will be divided up. Percentages more based off of the total cost of the facility. So the arena and Blacks Arbor would certainly have a larger value, an appraised value, than it would in academic. So that's how it would be giving up percentage-wise.
You know this document, this working together for vibrant communities, and some of the things which are hot on the table right now is how all these LSDs and municipalities are playing together. And so I'm just wondering, and they're asking for input from the municipalities about how the costs are going to change if we have any amalgamation or anything like that. Has your commissioner, you, because you're expert planner and all that, have you made any sort of assessment about what portions of what may have to be rearranged in the tax allocation calculation?
If I understand your question correctly, I think, so what you're saying is, have we looked at things outside of recreation and broadly speaking, are you talking?
One of the concerns that the LSTs have is that if there is any amalgamation, their tax bill is going to go up. And they claim that there are many things that you have inside the municipality that we don't. But if in the calculus right now already, somehow we are billing them for these facilities or access to these facilities through other means. I'm just wondering, in the new world that is coming, has you as a planner or your commission as a planner have looked into how these cost allocations are going to be reshaped in any ways?
No, and I haven't done that kind of breakdown for what the future may hold and where things could be going, because there's a lot there to break down, and that would be the Department of Environment, local government, I would say, that has that responsibility to do that. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not part of your
no.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Don't have any other questions?
All right.
Okay.
The 2% levy, is that going to be voted on by the municipalities?
So
to
yeah,
implement it?
And this is what I explained at the orientation too. It's the commission is not a taxing authority, so they're not going out to the LSDs and saying, "Yep, you have to pay this." This is actually it's about creating this pot, like Jason referred to it as a service, a cost sharing, like a recreation fund, to make sure that there's a baseline, everybody's contributing to this fund, and then it gets distributed to fund the regional facilities. So it's very indirect. So basically, everybody contributes to it, municipality or LSD, but the municipalities that host these facilities or provide the regional recreation service to their neighboring LSDs, they're the ones who would receive the money. And as I didn't mention it, but as Jason said too, an important thing to note is it's done on high school catchment areas. This is what the community spoke to us. I think Tracy, when her group was one of the ones who kind of came up with this idea. But that's important. It's this Eastern Charlotte sort of catchment that kind of shares together. So Penfield and St. George LSD and Fundy Bay would all be in this sort of zone together.
Following up on some, and on my question also, your organization is supposed to be the brains on planning, which supports the municipalities. You're doing the planning support, Now we are about to get into a new fire, and has anyone suggested to the ELG that somehow you are our brain bank with respect to making these calculations and giving us something? I think that is one of the comments that perhaps we should actually be putting forward to the department.
Well, I take that as a compliment.
No, seriously. I mean, there are a lot of other things that you have taken, and which you have experts. That they do that alone. So as we are getting there and they're asking us big questions about what you think about reallocation of tax base or whatever, you have the expertise and you have access to the data to actually give us advice about what kind of input we want to do. So I as a mayor, and I mean with the approval of the council, I would like to come to your boss and say, we need that kind of support, expertise from you, so we can put it to the ELG, and that's an important function.
Yeah, and one of the functions of the Service Commission is a sort of regional forum for the municipalities and the local entities, the LSDs, to get together around regional issues and to communicate to the province about those things. That's actually one of those things since the Building Code Administration Act came out. They advocated the province to see some changes because there was elimination of camps in rural areas, and it was seen as being problematic and infringing on a rural way of life. So they communicated to the province, and the province did decide to roll that back and
Yes.
change it. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
advocacy at a regional level is very strong. You can absolutely push for good stuff at that level, and working together is great. Yeah.
You will hear from us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Alex.
You're welcome.
Jason, water and sewer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Water and wastewater report for May. Average water consumption for May was 1,550 cubic meters for a total of 48,053 cubic meters. There was no total coliform or E. coli reported. 2 boil orders were issued for May, one on Brunswick Street when a service line broke while being disconnected, the other at well 6 when it was connected to the main. The 3 check valves at the booster station were replaced under warranty by the supplier with stainless steel T-versions because of premature wear on the check valves. The work at well 6 is progressing slowly. The line from the main to the building was installed on the 25th of May, so the mechanical and electrical was installed inside. Suspended solids continue to be high in the month of May. 30 is the limit, and that is what it remains at. It is fairly normal for this time of the year for the pond turnover when cooler water sinks to the bottom and warmer water comes up to the top, bringing solids to the top and mixing. As well, included is the results of water testing for the town of St. George. And that report was submitted by Leonard Lee, foreman for Public Works. Your Worship.
Thank you. Any questions? Yeah. Transportation report.
Thank you, Your Worship. The new half-ton was picked up in Sackville, New Brunswick on the 18th of May. So far, we have only installed the backup alarm, and the back rack and other equipment are on back order. Flashers were installed on the 1-ton because of the water tank. The water tank for watering blocks the other lights from behind. The 3-ton was rinsed with a Dasani spray and washed. I still hope to get it undercoated. The lawnmower was serviced and the front tire replaced. New blades are on order. The mower deck lock was also replaced. Flower baskets were put up on the 20th and watered the next day. The new park benches were installed in Brunswick and at the Gypsy Rest Main Street East, along with the new benches. New garbage cans were installed and pads placed for future flower planters. Memorial flag was also installed at the lot at Wallace in Brunswick. And the flagpole is by the St. George Firefighters Association. The speed radar trailer was picked up in Lawrence Station and placed on Riverview Avenue for 2 weeks, Main Street East for 2 weeks, and Brunswick Street for a week. A usage sign was installed at the boat ramp on Portage Street down by the Eagle's Nest. Along with the usual garbage collection, mowing, trimming, and we have kept potholes filled, weeded the flower beds, and painted the various sidewalk crosswalks, and no parking signs. The center line painters are having a lot of trouble getting paint, so are far behind on their schedule. This is caused because of the plant damage last winter in Texas that produces resin for just about everything. Street sweeping was completed the second week of May. A new flashing crosswalk sign at the upper bridge on Brunswick was also installed. The contractor for curb and gutter should be here next week. 2 weeks to do the C&G on Brunswick, Main, and Riverview. Then paving in these areas will be completed. That report, transportation, was submitted by Public Works Foreman Leonard Lee. Thank you, Worship.
Questions?
They're here now doing the gutters, are they not, the curbs?
Pardon me?
They're doing the curbs now, are they not?
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a question around the speed radar trailer. Is there a way that this particular unit is tracking the speeds or the overspeeds of our citizens?
It is also through the Regional Service Commission then being sent off to the RCMP.
And what happens to that afterwards? So that
we don't hear
information?
anything further from that. We'd hope that it would impact some traffic patrols. We certainly in advance have to let them know where it's going to be and the speed limits. So we would hope that from that report, there's a step up of patrols.
Is there a way to put this unit on stealth?
I don't believe so. No, it's a fairly, just a very simple type of unit. Yeah.
The gutters and curbs. It seems to me that there's been an awful delay in getting those opened, I'm going to call them open wounds, rectified. There's been a couple of occasions where I've seen residents trying to maneuver their way around them, finding themselves in the line of traffic. Is there a timeline to get these finished?
We try not to leave them open anything more than a week. It's removing the concrete that's there and hoping that our contractor, this day and age right now with construction timelines, a lot of these contractors tend to be pushing back their schedule. So that's one thing we have talked about, and to try to avoid keeping these open for any longer period of time than what's necessary. But even in this case, for example, Chapel Corner, that was really, we got word that should have been done even a week or more ago, but it was a contractor's delay. So something we're certainly trying to keep an eye out, because we don't want residents to have to walk down into these holes and navigate. Certainly as well for accessibility issues with residents. The shorter amount of time we can do that, the better. So, but definitely something that we're keeping on the radar.
Do we have a timeline for that particular one by the Catholic Church?
They'll be pouring it tomorrow.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, weather, as long as weather's good. So, yeah.
It's going to rain.
Just to follow up on the speed radar trailer, this is something that we do because Regional Commission has asked us to do, or
that's something that we request.
We requested. Yeah. Now the question is, we requested it for what purpose? To get an academic distribution of speeds?
Yes, certainly when residents are coming to the town to say there's been speeding, it's a bit of a deterrent, sort of a bit of a knowledge sharing, I guess, with drivers, to let them know what the speed limit is and they should be watching, sort of hoping that they'll change their habits and be a little bit more aware of certain streets.
But the next time a vehicle goes with 100 kilometers an hour on a 50 kilometers an hour zone, there is no provision that somehow they're going to be like a flag and this thing is going to go to the RCMP to actually follow up.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's no photos.
There are no photos.
There's no photos of it. It's just a radar trailer. Yeah.
I guess follow up to the same question. Are there any municipalities who have like an auto speed trap or whatever they call?
I'm sure some of those that would have municipal policing.
Municipal
policing would probably have some speed traps, but since speeding is under the Motor Vehicle Act, it's not something that a municipality can enforce. We don't have enforcement rights from the Motor Vehicle Act.
Yes.
So the policing. So any municipalities that have RCMP would have to depend on their RCMP to enforce the speed limit.
Is there any way that we can go to the RCMP and say, we need 2 of them to the town?
Not that I'm aware of. I think beyond asking them to increase patrols on streets, I'm not aware of any type of photo radar.
So the RCMP does not practice photo radar?
Nothing that I've ever seen, no.
Okay.
We've made it certainly aware that, certainly these areas where this trailer was this year, these are high areas of speeding, and we certainly hope that they'll follow up and do some patrols as well.
Okay. So we move to the item number 10, bills paid and payable, May 31st.
Yep. So bills paid and payable was $392,081.06. There's a breakdown there that's within council packages. So what we look for on that, Your Worship, is a motion from council to approve the bills payable for the month of May.
Any questions on the report?
I do have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
The $3,080.85 paid to Monroe Group for clamshells.
That one.
Uh,
What a clamshell.
Yep, so clamshells are, we replaced some of the surrounding of the main street lamps, the black clamshells, they go around the bottom of the
I
base.
didn't know what they were,
Yeah.
so I think that's part of the reason.
They'd be very
why.
expensive clams, that's right, yes.
Expensive clams.
It's minor.
I have a question. It was an item for Main Street hanging baskets.
Yep, so that would be the baskets that are on Main
Yeah,
Street.
but I looked at where the baskets were purchased.
St. Stephen Mayfield.
I was just wondering why.
Yeah, last year they were purchased there as well.
Okay, because, okay, never mind.
Should I declare a conflict?
Yeah, that's a conflict for some people.
Well, you weren't mayor then, I just wondered why they weren't purchased at Canada Green. That's
Okay,
all.
I do have another question.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
There is a payment made to the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission for the solid waste disposal and the monthly solid waste for April and again for May, but then down below, we have also feral waste and recycle in the monthly residential pickup. What is the difference between the two?
So one would be the transportation of the garbage to the landfill, and then the other one is the solid waste landfill tipping. So putting it into the landfill. So we're billed twice for garbage removal.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Leonard, did he break his phone?
Yes, yeah, that's been on the blitz for a while, definitely, yeah.
We got $700 for Canada Day. What do we do with that?
We received $700 for Canada.
Isn't that the way I read that? 700?
Yes, yep. So we typically will
something
receive
like
that
that?
each year for an event. If we don't do an event like last year, we have to repay that.
Oh, we can't keep it. Oh. No. I just wondered if we could use it.
Quite a lot.
Canada is, and then
Yes, I saw that.
there's one for
Actually, if I can have one comment, no question, but the whole, in this one that we have discussed in orientation, and we're gonna have to come back again, we may have to revisit not so much the reporting, because the reporting is thorough. Maybe it can be broken a bit, different pages and put numbers and all that pages. But fundamentally, our procurement policy is a consultative document right now from the province, right? Mm-hmm. And one way to improve both transparency and accountability is to actually make sure that we have more visible rules about what things are going to prefer suppliers, what things are going to bid. We have to figure out the cost, because bidding costs money also. You have somebody has to make, but this is one area that, judging from hearing from people, about why they have. I heard from one garage in town. They said, they never fixed a tire here. I said, why? And I said, oh, even if they have to fix the tire, they are going to St. John. So just to make things appear clear and transparent, we may have to revisit as council our policy. Because right now there is a provincial document, a guidance document, but not a policy. There is not a policy, St. John policy, about what is going through, seeking quotes, and what is going directly to one person. That's an important thing. That's just as a comment. I don't have any other questions or comments. We can move on to the next one.
Your Worship, so we would be looking for a motion to approve the monthly payables.
Yes, okay. So I'm sorry. It's let me see the agenda here for a second.
I do have one more question. Around the identification of the cleared and the outstanding, does that tell me that the check has been sent but not gone through the bank yet? Okay,
Correct, yeah. Yes, yep.
thank you.
So I guess we need a motion to approve the financial reporting for the month of May.
I'll make that motion that we move to pay the payables for the town of St. George for May.
All in
I second
favor?
it. Oh, I'll go with that. Yes.
Okay. We got
Doing a favor?
new business. I guess 11A is setting a date for presentation for the 2020 financial audit. This is the financial audit of our year 2020, and our accountant has not yet presented his report, and that's why I thought that we may have to receive it first, take a look, and then call a special meeting to actually review it and ask questions if necessary. So as it stands now, new business. Essentially, I will move to have a special meeting to actually have this presentation of the financial audit.
You want me to make that motion?
Yeah, can
I'll
you
make that motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody,
I'll second it.
So,
June 29th, isn't it?
June 29th?
June 29th. So we have. I was reminded that there has been a date proposed for June 29 to be a special council meeting that, among other things, is going to deal with the financial audit report. So the motion has been put on the floor, has been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, fine. So, gone. Item B, 11B, distribution of annual first half of the Charlotte County Boys and Girls Fund for 2021. You want to actually introduce the subject and tell us what
Yes, Your Worship. So these are funds that the town receives in care, basically meaning that we have an agreement with the Boys and Girls Club of Charlotte County to disperse funds that they would earn from their lotto that they do. So this would be basically the tuning dog draw that they do. I forget the actual name. The Gold Rush. Sorry, yes, thank you. So the Gold Rush fundraiser, funds collected from there. There's a portion of that comes back to Eastern Charlotte, and the town has agreed to disperse that. We received a number of applications, as you can see with the council package. And if it's the council's wish as well, Your Worship, we can certainly, if the council's looking for more information on this and wishes to review these applications further, we can either do that, to move this agenda item to July, or if it's council's wish to approve that.
The only comment I have, and councils can actually add any other comment I have, is are there any restrictions to try to take this money and go to these stakeholders who are supposed to be receiving them and say, for example, I see here schools and is there any way to say, let's get some more books for the Library of St. George? Back Bay School and Blacks Harbor School and
Yeah,
can we try to essentially meet our obligation to the Boys and Girls Club and also try to get some of this for in a joint way?
Part of the agreement was to have sort of an application process for some of these nonprofit groups. So that's sort of what we've had going for the last part of this year, was to have an application intake. So there was a portion of funds that basically $5,000 from January through the month of May, basically $1,000 each month. So then, the agreement was that halfway through the year, we would take those funds and disperse them, and then have another intake that would be dispersed in December. I think that, this being our first application intake, we've certainly learned a few things. One is maybe setting a little bit more of a bar. We have some big asks from some of these applicants and only so much money. And certainly, that's why I've mentioned that, we can certainly table this to July, but at this point, how we would fairly disperse that, or maybe there are some applicants that can certainly wait until December. Maybe that's a better option for them. Depending on some of the projects, some projects, the due dates are close, some due dates are a little further out. But, with only $5,000 and a total amount requested that's in excess of $15,000, $20,000, 15,000 or so, $20,000. Yeah, so it's a lot. They're looking for. There's a lot of money that's being applied for, but we only have $5,000 to spend that on. So,
Go ahead.
With this, we see that all these groups have applied. They're all for kids. Why can't we just take whatever money we have and just divide it between each one of them? There's 8 of them, so if we have 5,000, divide 8 into the 5,000, give them what we can give them. At least each group is getting something, and you're not picking out a certain group, which if you start picking out certain groups, they're going to get offended, and they're going to say, well, how come this one got it and this one got it, but just because ours is until September or October, we have to wait. So I feel fair, divide the 5,000 between the 8 of them and give them what we can give them, and then they all get something. They're not just all being picked certain
Any other
ones.
comment?
I got a comment.
What?
The criteria, what is it to be on the list?
For the application,
Yes.
You'd have to be a nonprofit. Yes,
In Charlotte County,
in Eastern Charlotte.
And
in Eastern Charlotte.
Yeah.
So it's an Eastern Charlotte initiative.
Yeah.
And the role of the town is only to distribute
That's
the
it.
funds.
That's it.
There's one on there that shouldn't be on there, I see.
Yeah. Last one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which one?
One at the bottom, the splash pad.
Yeah,
That's owned by the town, that's not nonprofit.
yeah.
Good point.
That's true.
So I said the last one.
And that's funded by the community.
Divide by 7 then.
Well, I mean.
Well, I don't know why even we get into we get the administrative burden of, like, we are not, a religious organization or pop or whatever. Just going from the town's perspective, is there any way to go to all these stakeholders who are supposed to ask for money? I can see even for the food bank, I know that the food bank is often involved in actually raising funds through activities that the town does, and maybe we can actually make these funds to improve their ability to maybe raise money on a summer music thing through the canteen. Or I just don't know why we even got into this business of actually playing the judge about who is getting what.
Oh, okay. Can you clarify that? How do we come to you here?
They approached the town. They were looking for an organization that would certainly have books audited and proper accounting procedures in place.
Okay, so essentially they came to us because somehow they have some assurance that nobody's going to use the money for an appropriate way.
Yes. Yeah.
So if we took the 7 that's on this list, took the 5,000, divided the 7 into it, you're roughly $720 to each organization. So everybody gets the same thing.
That's right. You're not picking one or the other, right? Like, it's fair, everyone gets the same.
And then if you get another amount in the next 6 months, you can look at it more in depth. But right now, if you have the money to give out, then divide it amongst them all, and then they can't come back and say, well, he got more or she got more, you all got the same.
The written agreement that we have with this organization prevents us from actually giving that money to the splash pad? Jason?
Pardon me, Your Worship?
The written agreement that we got into this business of Boys and Girls Club prevents us from actually using the money for for the splash pad where both the Back Bay Home and the Blacks Harbor and the Charlotte County Christian Academy and the Fundy Minor Baseball Club and and the curling club may actually go and use. Are there anything that prevents us from actually going to the stakeholders and saying, you know something, we have so many requests, we cannot do it, and we think we're gonna put everything on one pot that everybody can use, including the Back Bay School and the Blacks Harbor School and the Charlotte County Christian Academy and the St. George curling club. Is there anything, do you have any leeway to actually go back to them and say, we are thinking of doing that?
Yeah, I mean, sure, we certainly can do that. I mean,
Whom are going to talk, the Boys and Girls Club or all these recipients?
And the Boys and Girls Club, through their agreement with us, have said, we will give you the $1,000 each month. If the town chooses to, if there's only one applicant, if they choose to give it just to one applicant, divide it as they see fit. So if it is the wish of council to divide it into 7, certainly the Boys and Girls Club would have no issue with that. Their main concern is seeing that the funds are dispersed and that there is a proper accounting tracking for that.
So the St. George Splash cannot be the recipient?
I mean, it certainly is being at a committee of town, I mean, certainly it's whatever really, I guess, the council's wish is. If it's...
No, if we have an agreement with Boys and Girls Club to do a certain job,
yes,
then before we do something else, we have to actually get their consent. That's one thing. My concern is that we are getting into a role which is not our business to do, unless we can play the broker and say, you guys, all these organizations, you will all benefit if we actually be able to have this thing running and the kids can come, whether they are from Back Bay or Blacks Harbor or Charlotte County Christian Academy up the road or the. So before let's what I move is that we'll just let's get some more information about what we cannot do with this money. That's my.
But the money is already, the way that the Boys and Girls have got it set up is that the money is to be distributed out to different organizations in your area. So they've already given the town permission to do, if I'm understanding that right, yes, from the Boys and Girls Club, is they already gave us permission to divide it the way the town sees fit to give it out.
I'm not sure if Jason agrees that we have the authority.
No, definitely. That would be the agreement. Is they're more concerned about it being dispersed and that there is a proper accounting of the disbursement. That's their primary, is ensuring that it gets dispersed. And if it's multiple number of applicants, I think that certainly is far-reaching and certainly better than just one. So yeah, I guess if you're dispersing it amongst 7, that's what council sees fit, then that certainly would be meeting the agreement of the Boys and Girls Club, is dispersing it that way. So
effectively, we have $10,000 put in the trust. The town has the $10,000, and they're in trust to distribute it how they see fit. Because it says twice a year, correct?
Annually, yes.
So it might be only 750 this in June or June 1st or whatever, and then in December another 750. So they're still getting $1,500 over the run of the year.
Yeah, I know. The point that I'm trying to bring here is that A, why we're in this business, and B, if we're in this business, if we can actually put all the money in one basket, which is going to serve all of these communities. And the splash pad, which at the very, very end, any amount could be the one recipient.
The splash pad is...
No.
The splash pad, the town has already given the splash pad money. And as far as I'm concerned, yes, and I said it at a meeting before, I feel that the town has given them enough. It was supposed to, the way that I understand is when the splash pad first started, it was a community effort. The town was not involved in it. It was a group that tried to raise the money and everything.
Yeah.
They couldn't get enough money. They came to the town. We gave them some money. Then they needed more money to add up to make an amount so that they can get money from the government. So as far as I'm concerned, the splash pad has got enough money. We gave them everything we could. These other groups have never, ever came to the town to ask for any money or anything. They might have came and asked for help to use a building or something. But as long as I've been on council, not one of those groups have ever came and asked for money. And the way the Boys and Girls Club is set up, because I pay a toonie every week for this Boys and Girls Club, and they had issues before, and they got out of being at like home and schools and that's why they're going to each town to look after it. And it gets distributed properly, it's accountable, and that way there, each person that has applied gets money. It's how the council decides how they want to do it. So as far as I'm concerned, I feel the splash pad has had enough money from us, and that's my own viewpoint. It's the rest of the group, how they feel.
Well, I'd like to clarify why I said what I said. All these projects, they have listings what they're going to do. Would it be right for us to give money to ourselves?
Not to ourselves, not to ourselves. No, I'm
Splash pad.
The splash pad
The
is.
splash pad, we
Yeah.
do that, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These are small
Clarification.
Like we have a private school who's asked for money from the Boys and Girls Club. Why St. George is involved in actually even considering an application from a private school to actually give funding?
Because the Boys and Girls Club have asked the town of St. George to look after the money and put it out to all of the applicants so that it can be held accountable. You can have an accountant, whoever can come in, look at it and say, okay, John Doe didn't get $5,000 and there's no record of it. This is the record that we gave it to John, Sally, George, whoever, and there is a legal, whatever you want to call it, I'm stuttering now, but there is a record of where these organizations got it. They made the application, and we as council people have decided that all of these areas, with the exception of number 8, are legal organizations that want the money or need the money. So give them the money.
And it's all for youth.
Yeah.
It's all for youth. Has nothing to do with adults. It's for the youth.
I mean,
of
here's
the
one
groups.
that's, they're looking at summer snacks. I'm all for giving a kid a summer snack. If I had the $700, I'd give it to them now, myself. I don't have it. So I think that personally, as Brenda said, we've got $5,000 divided evenly amongst the 7 groups. That's my take on it.
Okay, so these funding requests have been publicly posted out. All the non-profit organizations have been notified that they can receive some money from this thing. Eastern Charlotte.
Yes, I mean, they've all applied.
No, I'm saying that how, for example, that the funding minor baseball learn. You probably somebody picked up the phone and said, we'll have some money.
Yes, I think we've done some social media.
Social media.
Yes. Yeah, no, we didn't contact anyone directly.
Yeah.
It's all done through whether it's the Boys and Girls Club directly with some of their own promotion.
Yeah.
But it was all through social media.
Okay, well, so you want, let's put in I guess.
I would like to make a motion
Yeah.
that we divide the money for the 7 groups evenly for this month from January to May.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a second? Who is the second?
Me?
Who is the second?
Let's make 750. I'm not putting that.
So the next group could be a different bunch anyway.
That's right. It could be
Yeah.
different.
Someone else could apply. We could get 1, we could get 10, we
That's
could
right.
get none.
From June to December, different groups can apply.
We can review it, but they must have applications in. Nobody gets money, so they put it in.
Next.
Continue on, Mr. Mayor.
11C, the next item, letter from Minister Jill Green regarding the municipal designated highway program.
Yes, Your Worship. So this is a letter from the Minister of Transportation for the province, just requesting the municipal designated highway plan for the town, the priorities for 2022 to 2026. So as spoken on earlier, we didn't receive what we had requested for 2021. What has been done in the past is the current plan, which is also in council packages, gets bumped ahead. Basically, the date changes, everything gets moved ahead a year. That's sort of been in the past. So we've done some slight adjustments over the last couple of years on pricing. Pricing has, of course, gone up. But to go through and actually do another exercise and get further quotes, it could be basically a fruitless effort, especially if 2022 comes around and this is once again postponed for whatever the province decides on. But I guess at this point, we can certainly keep the current priorities as they are and bump everything ahead, or council can take this away and say, we want to look at something else. Maybe council wants to look at doing Riverview Avenue, another designated highway. So it would certainly be up to council and what they would like to do with this. Certainly my recommendation is sticking with the current plan and moving everything ahead a year. Seems like we've been trying to get the work done on Mount Pleasant for a number of years. And so I would certainly say that my recommendation is to move everything ahead and submit that to the province for our 2022-2026 plan.
Just a point, I see it says that you have to do it no later than June the 30th. Well, that's just a couple of days down the road.
It's very easy. If it's a current plan, we just change the dates. It's sent off to the district engineer. Again, if it's something that becomes a little bit more and we're engaging engineers to do up quotes and costing, it could delay this.
Well, is it Mount Pleasant that's on the list in this right now?
Yes.
Then let it go the way it is now. Just send it off and say what we submitted previously. That's my opinion. But
the only point that I want to add to that is that we are going through planning and we're going through expenditure of resources to plan, because the planning cannot come free. Somebody has to go, and sometimes you have to talk to an engineer. You have to make estimates. The whole thing is that if this thing just casually says, we postpone it. If there are no funds, tell us, there are no funds this year. We will put into the front next year. But just a thing as postponing is something that is worrisome. We have someone who came to attend today and who has like only 150 feet to get the sidewalk so his grandchild can go and walk down. That should be part of something that we have to put, and if they want to postpone it, they should come up with a reason why they postpone it. And maybe we should actually, I will move that in our plan. We also ask them to tell us why they're postponing this year. Just postpone it is not a satisfactory way of just putting things up. So I will actually move that not only we provide an estimate of or when we want to do it, again, just to repeat the same what you said, Nancy, but also say, why it has been postponed. Yeah. So if anybody agrees that we should actually be bringing that issue and saying, if we're going to give you that plan, tell us why. If you're going to do it, why you don't do it. Otherwise, I feel it's a waste of time, everybody.
And Your Worship, usually with this program, they will let us know as they enter in their own budgeting for the coming year, usually before the end of March or April. This year it was budget restraints with the province, so they usually will send a letter from the minister. We usually say this is the reason why this is not happening this year, and it's usually one or two options. It's usually budget restraints from the province, or a change in strategy or strategic rebuilding of roads in certain areas. So, maybe, we did have, even though we had it canceled in 2019, I believe it was 2019, yep. We did have the Letite Road slope erosion that was done by the province. So that was $600,000 to do that project. So instead of doing the municipal designated highway with the town, they chose to cancel it. I'm sure they've canceled other municipalities in this region as well. And their priority for this region was the Letite slope erosion. So they'll often give us some sort of a reason. It certainly doesn't help when it keeps getting bumped ahead for whatever reason that's outside of our control. But they will usually provide us with a budget reason or a change in strategy for the region. So,
well, somehow we have to actually drive the message that this is a very busy highway. It's an economically very important highway. There are a few hundred big trucks moving a lot of millions of dollars out every day, and it's getting to the point that it may actually require some emergency repairs. I mean, if sinkholes have started appearing and there are a lot of patching, and we should, like, just putting another report out without bringing up the fact how important this highway is for our economy and our community, it will be like a missed opportunity. I mean, it's not like, we'll just have a few potholes down on Main Street. It's a bit more strategic. So,
No, I know this is out of order. You should also add that the high school is using the grant in place for emergency. They've gone up that road 4 times this year already. No sidewalk. That should be added in the statement as well.
very good point. Thank you. I accept this. No, so, I just want to mention that the sidewalks is a town responsibility. The province does not involved in that, and it's a very small section, and somehow we have to put it in our budgeting because it's such a little thing. It's only like a few hundred feet, but the highway itself, to actually be brought up to the condition that it should be more than just, oh, when I give you the old plan, put a new date and go again through the cycle. So I will move that somehow we bring the importance of this highway to the province and ask them to actually consider it for the next cycle as a very high priority for this area. So that's my motion. If anybody wants to.
Just to Larry, John, we did try that before.
Oh, I know.
We went to Andrea Mason, our MLA, yes, and everything. Jason talked to the province and everything, and they kept saying no. That they just come back and said no, and it's been that way since I've been on council. Every time we try to go ahead, they knock us back 3
Well,
steps.
we have a camera looking at us. It's going to be posted. We have an opportunity to say how important that highway is for our economy, for our children.
And I agree with you 100%.
If somebody wants to say, oh, just forget these guys, I mean, he takes the responsibility for that. But we have an obligation to say, this is not just another road with some potholes. This is central to our economy. It is central to the high school. It is important to actually get some priority. And that's why I will put a motion that we don't have to just put only this. We should actually send a letter to the appropriate level saying this is a very important for our town, and we are just not just postponing it as enough. We have to have some explanation.
So I agree with you 100% on
so
that. Because with the sidewalks, when the sidewalks just went up that little bit, it was a fight to get the sidewalks just put up to where they were moved last year or the year before, wasn't it, Raymond?
2018.
Yeah, 2018. It took us a long time just to fight to get that little bit of a sidewalk done. So
we have one motion, and you have one motion, anybody to second, about having a letter going together with the budget to the minister about bringing up the importance of this highway and the fact that the postponement may not be just what we need.
Second motion.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll have it passed.
You're dealing with the government, good luck.
Yeah. Formation of committees of the town, item 11D. Just a preamble to actually on this agenda item. Formation of committees has not been done, has not been discussed. It's an important portion of our responsibility to actually structure them and seek volunteers. That's a very, very important aspect. I have started I spoke to all the mayors, previous mayors for that committee, but we need to actually bring the message out to get people involved and people that they will be not only bring a wish list, but they are prepared to do some of the legwork of actually giving us, what can be done, what cannot be done, how it can be done.
Could we just, we're still in orientation, right? Like we still have a couple of more could we forward this till our next meeting after we have all the orientation done? Then we'll know what actually we are allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do.
Absolutely. The only thing that was a preamble of how important the formation of committees are. Okay. The only thing which I want to actually disposition today is the committee of the former mayors of the town.
I think we need further discussion on that.
After
our orientations.
Well, if a committee cannot be established, I will establish a panel that will be reporting to the mayor. I have checked with the bylaw, and we can actually have a panel. The mayor has the power to enable a panel to advise him. So I will enable it as a panel reporting to the mayor as opposed to a town committee. I just thought that it may be the councillors are willing to support. Just as information, I got tremendous feedback from people who think that's a good idea. That whether or not you have problems one mayor with the other, or having them strategically think about the betterment of the town and forget all the other pettiness and say, and these people have contacts. These people can pick up the phone and talk to someone about an important thing. It's one of the biggest resources that we're having. So I don't have the slightest hesitation in actually insisting that a panel of mayors, a panel reporting to the mayor is set up. I just hope that we can actually bring it up as a committee, and I will go ahead as a panel reporting to the mayor. So the question would be, you have a question about a motion?
Well, no, I just feel that we should just put it on hold till next month so that everyone can really get into the orientation and really find out what, if we start setting up committees and we really don't know what those committee people are allowed to do with us, because people voted us in, they didn't vote in people that want to be on different committees.
Yes, exactly.
So I just feel that once orientation is over with and once we've had kind of a month underneath our feet, that maybe that's when we should set up the committees. That's just my viewpoint from being on before, that it's nice to be able to give.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm not prepared to discuss formation of committees now. But
we got to learn to walk. We got to crawl before we can walk.
But the formation of a panel advising to the mayor is something that the mayor has the authority to do, and I will do it unless the town is, unless the council is prepared to actually make that a committee. In which case, I will ask the mayors to also report to the council if they feel appropriate. So essentially,
can we table it for discussion at a later date after we've finished our training?
In which case, just to inform the council that there will be a letter going out tomorrow from the mayor informing the ex-mayor that we form a panel reporting to the mayor and not to the council. And that should keep everybody happy. So yes. So we don't decide anything about formation of the committee. I just, as a mayor, I want to inform you that a panel of ex-mayors is going to be constituted reporting to the mayor and not to the council. If the council wants to actually extend the reporting to to the council itself, we can always do it as part of setting up the committees. All business, non-applicable. Correspondence.
Yes, Your Worship, we did receive one correspondence dated May the 31st from Lieutenant Governor Brenda Murphy. Just giving it's more of a congratulant email to yourself and new members of council. That was the only correspondence for the month of May.
Okay. Any comment, question about the letter of the Honorable Brenda Murphy? Okay. We're moving to statement by members of council.
I'd just like to say we had a good orientation on Saturday, and I think we're going to work really well together. I think we are all vocal and we all want to say what we want to say, and sometimes we're not going to agree and sometimes we are going to agree on stuff. So I just want to say welcome to everybody and welcome to everybody here tonight.
A few things as we talked about, as we go along, things will come more gradual and a little more easy to understand. As you talked about Route 172, that's Mount Pleasant Road, it also goes clear to Courts and beyond. In the 5-year plan, out of 4 of those year 5, work's going to be done on that section. As Jason said, the slope erosion had to take priority over sidewalk. It had to. It had to be done. Because all that traffic's got to go over that road to get to those places, which is fine. And as far as the budgeting, council needs to go over the budget to understand how things work.
Which is an exercise which is going to happen, I guess.
It's going to take quite a while to do that, but other than that, it's going to take a little while, and it'll come. It'll come as we understand it.
I don't have a statement, but I wish Faith hadn't gone, because I was going to say thank you to Faith for doing a really good job when she was an acting mayor during a COVID crisis. I think she did a really good job, and so did the whole council.
And she was very, very gracious to actually sit down with us.
That's right.
And give us some very great input about some issues which I did not know.
No, she's a great resource.
Yes. And I actually, we have extended, we were together with the deputy mayor, and we extended to her, the same invitation that I'm extending to other mayors to try to stay connected with the town and feel part of the town and feel that they can ask questions and give advice, because it's one of the biggest resources that we have as a town. I mean, today I had a meeting with one of the ex-mayors, and I was surprised how much he knew. He has been in this town for 65 years, and he's another 25 years more than I have been. And he knows about the business of this town much more than it's a resource. In my book, it's a resource for this town. So having a person like that available to tap on his brains and ask his opinion about the thing, I consider that an invaluable resource. So that's why I'm going ahead with the panel reporting to the mayor. And we're going to have the commission about the meeting about the committees. We may extend the reporting to the council if you want. But today I just had a meeting with one of the ex-mayors, and I was really surprised how much he knew and how much he was willing to help if we asked him. So I guess I'm going to go ahead, with the council. I'm going to start from the very end. You have him make a statement?
What about Council Colton?
I want to go that way.
Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I'm with Brenda. The orientation was very valuable. This is my first time being on a committee or on a council such as this, and I look forward to the future and some of the things and some of the decisions that we're going to make for the betterment of the community.
I second everything you just said. I'm looking forward to working with everyone. The orientation was a great introduction, and we still have a lot more to learn. And ultimately, I'm excited to work with everyone else in the community and get stuff done.
Thank you. Nancy?
The old girls last.
Well, no, you're just next to the mayor, so that's a privilege, you know.
I too enjoyed the orientation session, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone. And I'm the type of person that has to hear both sides of the story before I make a decision, and then I make my decision. And sometimes I can be cantankerous, and sometimes I can be quite pleasant. So look out.
I hope I can, that's what I'm saying. I hope to keep the good side of you.
He's already learning.
Yeah. Well, my first statement is to actually thank Jason. I mean, anytime a new council shows up, he has to put a lot of work. I mean, the last few weeks, I'm sure that his family may have started wondering why he's working so many hours. So I want to thank him. He did a great job with the orientation, setting up the sessions, accommodating the new ways that this council has decided to work. I'm more open to the people, and so it's very important to recognize the staff. Chris is on the other side there quietly. The staff has done a tremendous amount of work, and they should be recognized for that. The other thing that I want to mention, I know that we're in orientation period, and we are going to keep learning the weeks and months ahead. But somehow I want to actually raise an alarm that this paper is out, and whether we like it or not, things are going to happen fast. Things are going to happen fast, and we have a very, very small opportunity to actually say something that the government may ignore, but at least we can try to make them feel accountable to recognize our position, whether or not they accept it or not. And one thing that, with the help of Jason, is to get in touch with the mayors of Blacks Harbor and St. Andrews, because they have similar issues. They have also non-incorporated entities around them, which may be consolidated. We don't know that. We don't know what are the effects of the tax base in their complaints. We don't know that. We may come to you to give us some advice also. But this is something that is coming very, very fast. And it's a very, very high priority. And we need to actually move on that one fast. Overall, I'm very excited. I'm very excited and quite optimistic, although we are living in interesting times and challenging times. But I think we're going to work great. So thank you very much for for coming today. Also, but I just want to actually say one thing before we adjourn. We don't have any public. We do.
John's a public.
Well, you're the okay.
I won't take 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just have, Your Worship, just agenda 15 still open before adjournment.
I'm sorry. Public present statement. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I thought that was at the end. Okay, but yeah, it's now statements by public presentations. So anyone from the public wants to make a presentation? You have the floor. You have the floor.
Not as the fire chief, as
yes.
a
Yes. Yeah.
It goes back to the trail. During the last council, I submitted a letter, I guess, on the trail as to whether it was mixed use or single use. In summary, not all ATV operators are disrespectful and don't follow the laws. Some of us do. That we cross, have permits, trail passes, registrations, all of those things. So my question is the town lobbying for single use or for mixed use on the portion of the trail between here and the highway? Are we lobbying for single use or are we lobbying for mixed use?
So we're lobbying for the coastal link, which is primary foot. However, we've already expressed to them that there's a large ATV population here. So that has impacted a little bit of their funding, because some of their funding with the Greenway Trail system has been pedestrian use only. We know the reality here with ATVs, so that's why it's been held up a little bit, because we want to ensure that that the funding's there, but the reality of the multi-use is there as well. So we definitely want Coastal Link being primary one because of the investment that's going to come to the town. If it's multi-use, then that's the way we're going to go.
Where will, if they said that it's single use, where will the trail go beyond that one? Will it, because that trail is already mixed use.
Right.
Beyond that. So
yeah.
Does it just go and stop?
Yeah. Much the same as right now with the ATV trail being out along the highway, out along south of the lake. Right now it's ATV Federation. Yep. So that's why it's going to match the same way. The whole idea is to continue on right out through the lake. So if it can be done there, we're hoping. Yeah.
Well, informally, yes, there's an agreement to go right to Uncle Lane's, and I don't use the trail a lot. One of the reasons I bought my ATV is because of the ability to relatively easily access that trail. The few times I've been out, we've gone as far as the Pro. I have friends that go all the way to St. John, but I have met a lot of people coming another way. They'll get on the trail, they'll Pro, St. John, whatever, and they come this way. So the end of the line is right here. You can't go any further. And now that I kind of suggest we should encourage that, whether it's snowmobiles, ATVs, whatever, have them come to our town and you park, go to the pub, go to the hotel, or a business while they're here, rather than stop and take a dump, get gas and turn in their house. Encourage them to come to that.
And that, the same, just as we're not supposed to have a discussion, but I just want to say, because several councillors have been approached by the same organization, and the need to actually have the ability to have access to the town and park their vehicle and then go either on the pub or wherever they want to go is something that we are looking to do. Is not simple for two reasons. One is that the rules for where ATVs can go or cannot go are set by the province. It's the Motor Vehicle Act. And I had a long discussion with the RCMP, and they explained it to me. Now the question is if we can allow a place where they can come and park, and they can walk as everybody else. Everybody walks around here. And this is something that we're going to seriously look at about how we can do it.
Let's say Steve on the other end, there's a new club being formed there, and their goal would be to come this way. There's a lot of work that would have to be done to make that link, but they can very easily get to the one year second call. This is how to join the two.
And that can be a challenge.
A new coastal link.
And that can be a challenge. Actually getting the people from St. John to come in St. George and parking and then going out, that can happen. But being able to actually connect everything going across the river and all that would be a challenge.
It would be a challenge.
Yeah. So yeah.
Good things don't happen without challenge.
Pardon me?
It's a challenge we're up for.
I was just going to say, I think your club is up for that challenge.
I don't have any doubt about that. I guess Jason made that point. We are not concerned about that club acting like hotheads. Okay, the question is how you can actually, they can come into town, they can park. How we can actually get them on the other side of the river, if they want to get on the other side of the river, which we don't know yet. So far, exactly. So as long as the intent is to get the people from St. John arriving in St. George, parking their ATV in a safe place so they will not be vandalized or stolen, and then walking to the town, that's something that we want to try to do it. I mean,
we have a camp and we do it. Yes. We brought a couple from Perth, couple from Perth, St. George.
Yes.
We go out to Maine, instead of coming in to do doing the business we have, go out to Maine before we go to Maine. I would rather see our tax money, our spending money come to St. George.
Yes.
Yeah, if 5 couples do that, that's $200-300. That's why.
Yes.
other towns that has designated ATV trails too. Down Brunswick, two different ones up in the northern part of the province. They have actual trails that you come through the town.
Well, if you look at the trail and we had a map, the trail ends. Pardon me? That my advice from the RCMP is, well, you know,
Check with the town subject because they have a designated road. They don't use this town road.
yeah, this is not what the RCMP told me. And I talked to David Hart, who is the president of the association, and I told him that, and he kind of agreed that there are some limitations by the Motor Vehicle Act.
They do have designated road.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna ask.
I would like to thank everybody for stepping up and doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you're gonna have the same opinion 4 years from now. That's the big challenge. You know, just,
And that'll be open for discussion 4 years from now.
So moving on to item 16, date of next regular meeting is Monday, July 12th. I think we have to be the motion for that, right?
Nope, just
Sam.
No, I'm saying this is an item date. Is that something that has to go through a motion or
no,
just?
it's already set. It's already set with the procedure bylaw.
Then we
yeah.
are, then motion to adjourn, sir? Yes, sir. Okay. Any seconded by anybody?
Oh, take that away from him.
Nine.
Jason, what time are we meeting members?
What's that?